Good morning, everyone. It's been a while since I posted a video, but it's been crazy busy. So we're going to be removing the rear cowl, the rear seat. You can see we got some stuff off. We're doing some other things to this bike, but basically one of the first mods that a lot of people like to do, if it's applicable in their state or country with these M109s, is get rid of this beaver tail, as some call it. It's the housing that obviously houses the rear turn signals and the license plate bracket here. It's just a piece of plastic, and most of the time people just right up underneath the fender that just cut right here. So that's what we're going to get into today. And along the way we'll show you how to remove obviously the seat, the rear fairing, which allows us access to the rear brake light, which is another simple mod that a lot of people like to do, is switch out the rear light with integrated turn signals, all kinds of things like that. So you'll get to see the inside of that as well. Let's get started. First things first, some tools you're going to need. You're going to need a number 4 Allen, and I use the socket type. So number 4 Allen, and also a number 5 Allen. And then I use this pick, and then you're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver, something preferably with a pretty long stem. There's 2 screws up underneath that I'll show you how to get to them. Left side fairing here, basically you pop your seat off, and then as you can see here, it's the same on both sides. You have a push pin here. This side's obviously removed. You got to pull the push pin, and then you have screw right here you got to loosen, and then there's basically just grommets, rubber grommets. I know the lighting's not good, but there's a rubber grommet here, and there's a rubber grommet in here and down here. So this is what it looks like. You can see there's only 1 screw on the outside that you got to loosen, and then everything else is rubber grommets. On the back side, the cable for the seat latch is right there. You just twist that and it'll pop right out. And this black piece, and then up underneath the tank, there's one spot here. You just lift it away. So basically, to get this side off, you need to take this screw out and this push pin, and everything else is rubber grommets. Just be careful when you're pulling it off. Now this side's just a little bit different. You want to take this screw out, and then you also want to take this screw out of this piece right here, and as well as this push pin, and then it'll just pull completely off. So that side was pretty simple to take off. Now to get the rear cowl off, we got to take the seat off, which is a screw here and a screw here, and they are number 5s. And then this comes off, and then we have a bolt on each side here, and then there's 2 screws up underneath. With the rear seat off, you have 1 on each side here. You have 1 on each side here, and then 1 here, and then up underneath, you can see there's a Phillips head screw right there. And in comparison, I'm shining my light there. So you go in, and it's the only Phillips head screw that's up underneath, and there's 1 on each side. The reason you want a long screwdriver for that is because the tire gets in the way with either a real long one or either a real short one. The tire gets in the way of loosening that one. And then the rear cowl should come right off. So once you got the rear cowl lifted up, this is the connector for your rear brake light. That's the only thing you got to disconnect, and your cowl comes right off. And there's what the underside. There's 4 screws holding the tail light in. Really easy to switch out. Very easy to take care of. And now we have access to this beaver tail, so to speak. And what I'm gonna do, there's a lip, this lip right here. You don't want to damage that lip at all because that's what the rear of the cowl hooks onto. So we're gonna go right underneath the lip and just cut this whole piece off. You'll have to come up here and disconnect your turn signals, the switches on your turn signals, and they run down through here. So you just have to loosen a few things up, and once you get this cut, everything should just come right off. So there you have it. And you'll see 2 bolts on top. You don't need to take those out. I'm gonna trim this up a little bit. Usually I cut it down a little bit. You can see, here's the old one. This thing is amazing. Milwaukee, it's got the plastic bit on it, and I've done enough of these beaver tails that it made sense for me to get one of these, and it cuts through plastic beautifully. Awesome tool. So there we are. We're gonna go ahead and clean it up a bit and put the rear cowl back on. These tabs, these turn signal tabs, or any of the tabs on the bike that are this style, you see this right here, you don't push down to loosen them, you pull up. So if you pull up, it loosens them and they slide right apart. One of the things after you get this back on and you're starting to put your screws and everything back in, wait to put any screws in and do the 2 screws up underneath. You're going to want to put those in first to save yourself a lot of trouble. Just because this flexes a little bit, and if you put the front ones in first, it might pull it different ways, and the ones underneath are hard to see. So put the 2 screws up underneath in first, and then you'll be good to go to put the rest on. Thanks for watching this episode. If you have any questions or anything like that, drop a comment. Make sure you subscribe, like our page, and go to MotoEsh.com and become a subscriber on our website for all kinds of deals and things like that on all kinds of bikes. The M109. We love the M109, and we've got some parts and some deals going on there all the time. So we'll see you next time.